Psalm 5, verses 9 to 12 read like this. My enemies cannot speak a truthful word. Their deepest desire is to destroy others. Their talk is foul, like the stench from an open grave. Their tongues are filled with flattery. O God, declare them guilty. Let them be caught in their own traps. Drive them away because of their many sins, for they have rebelled against you. But let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let them sing joyful praises forever. Spread your protection over them, that all who love your name may be filled with joy. For you bless the godly, O Lord. You surround them with your shield of love. Psalm 5 ends with this combination of a almost dire warning against those who are rebelling against God, who are sinful and evil. And bear in mind that these psalms were used publicly. So the fact that the psalmist and the congregation of Israel would be singing about the guilt of others could serve as a warning to those that might hear it. And we must remember, although the psalmist here is asking God to deal with evil, this doesn't affect the fact that our mission and God's will is that where possible all people will be saved. So we accept the real offensiveness of sin here. You know, the evil talk of people who are rebelling against God is described in quite unpleasant terms. The speech that they produce is like the stench from an open grave, which is not pleasant. And their tongues are filled with flattery. The words that they are saying are just not true, and they have an agenda. So the psalmist wants that guilt to be dealt with. And what we know is that the guilt ultimately is dealt with at the cross by the sacrifice of Jesus. And so all of these people who are rebelling against God, all that they need to do to become clean is to turn away from their sins and to accept Christ. But those who are continuing in their rebellion, knowingly rejecting God, because in Romans Paul says that everybody has a knowledge of God. So those who are rebelling in knowledge that they are rebelling against God. If that continues, the psalmist asks for them to be driven away out of God's presence. And though that might seem almost vindictive, what we know actually is that the psalmist is praying consistently with God's character. Because as we look in the Bible at the passages that deal with end times, in fact, the things that Jesus said about the final judgment, he said that the evildoers will be cast outside the city where there is weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, because people have been excluded from the presence of a holy God, and sin cannot come into God's presence. So, deadly warnings, really. But the psalm ends lifted with a real inspirational finish. And you would hope that those listening who are convicted of their sin and guilt would find hope in this, just as all the believers do, that all who take refuge in God rejoice. And for us that know what we've been saved from, that have a real, some kind of revelation and understanding of our guilt and how we never deserved to be saved, we should rejoice. We should rejoice in the salvation of God. We should rejoice in his protection. We should rejoice in the incredible inheritance he gives us. So the psalmist asks for protection, and we should too, and that everybody who loves God, that loves his name, will be filled with joy, because God blesses the godly. So let's just pray this to close. Lord, may all my brothers and sisters who do take refuge in you, may they rejoice. Give them cause for rejoicing and celebration. And Lord, protect them. Protect each man, woman, boy and girl that loves your name during this time and beyond. Lord, we know that joy comes from you. Fill their hearts, fill our hearts with joy, please, and bless them and protect them. For your name, Lord, for the sake of the gospel and for your glory. Amen.